My role is to support my employees who then can deliver for my patients. I don't have a direct feed to those patients. Those employees do. So if you think not taking care and developing and nurturing those employees, if you think that is something you can forego, you never get the results you're looking for. So yes, our employees are number one, but they're number one to serve our primary objective, which is our patients.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? Thanks for tuning in here to Grow Think Tank. Really excited about sharing this with you. And before you run, I have done so many interviews over the last few weeks. I have such an exciting time to share with you that those interviews have been organized into the 12 core principles of fast growth companies. So all you have to do to get that is go to genehammett.com/worksheet. So you can get the 12 principles, and I've been able to go in there and find which episodes will align to each individual episode. When you subscribe to Grow Think Tank, you will find exactly what you need so that you can move forward. And many of them haven't been published yet, depending on when you're hearing this, but you can tune in to the date that means the most to you. Growth. Growth takes a lot of different things, but we know that growth inside your organization takes the right people and them growing with the right skills and the right attention to detail to take care of the customers. Today, we're going to talk about creating a customer-centric business, but through the growth and investment in your employees. I wanted to reach out to a company that really is investing at many different levels and it really has some complexity to it so that we can see exactly what is possible as you're continuing to grow your businesses. Because I hear a lot of leaders want to complain about not having the right people, they're not getting the right skills out of college. But inside the interview, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do with your local colleges, whether it be community colleges or bigger universities. And we're going to also talk about how do you make those things work together so that the company comes together to really treat the customer with the highest level of customer service possible. Our guest today is Gordon Vanscoy. He is a CEO at Panther Specialty Pharmacy. So they create the way for people with specialty diseases or rare diseases to get their medications. They work with the really elite kind of diseases, the ones that only have a few thousand, maybe 10,000 patients. They're not working on the bigger diseases. They really work to create the kind of customer-centric experience, and it takes the right employees to do that. So in today's interview, we talk about how do you invest in them so that you can really create employees that want to do the work and really create the level of growth that you're accustomed to in your company. Here's the interview with Gordon. How you doing, Gordon?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I'm happy to have you here at Grow Think Tank, where we talk about some of the challenges that we have as leaders in growing companies fast. I want to give you a chance to bring us all up to speed on your company. So why did you start Panther?
Panther was an opportunity for me to really reinvent pharmacy. I've been involved in pharmacy for a long time and was involved with the very first specialty pharmacy a long time ago. And I saw it go from a very patient-centric approach with a white glove approach, but it suddenly became almost efficiency-based and more of a mail order type approach to the market. And back when Panther first started, there were rumblings in the market of things happening in the orphan drug space. And it was a real ideal opportunity to start a new specialty pharmacy focusing in on that niche of rare and devastating conditions.
Well, I know that's got to be something that you're proud of because we had talked before last week when we were really getting to know each other. You guys really work on some diseases that really you can't find drugs anywhere else, but you guys, is that correct?
That's very correct. And that's kind of how we've changed the model. Instead of focusing on the big disease states that everyone does, really the emerging new drugs that are coming out are focused towards very small populations. And in fact, it's almost 3/4 of drugs in the FDA pipeline are really targeted to those rare diseases. So Panther is all about looking at orphan drugs, which target populations of less than 200,000, or ultra-orphan states, which are populations of less than 2,000 people.
Well, when you think about the challenges of growing a company this fast and you have such a limited set of kind of people you're serving, is that helped you grow fast?
Well, it's helped because we end up in a situation where we are either exclusive with a manufacturer that has this life-saving drug. So the only place that a patient can get it is from Panther, or we're in a limited distribution network where we're one of 2 or 3 options. So even though there may be few patients, we have robust information on the population in general. So, we go very deep on patients. And again, we're very focused on providing service that no one else does or can.
I want to bring us up to speed together on, the company. You grew at an astronomical pace in 2018, number 49 on the Inc. list. How many employees did you have?
We have today over 200.
And you really believe in order to get there in investing in your employees. So, why do you put such an effort and time and money into developing employees right now?
Employees are I liken it to a car in a race. If you don't take care of, your car and your engine and all the parts, you'll never have an opportunity to win the race. And our race is basically serving our patients and helping them achieve their goals. And their goals sometimes are life, sometimes are dramatic improvements in their lives. And now they finally have hope, where in many of these disease states, there's only about 500 treatments out there for rare diseases, and there's about 7,000 rare diseases. These people finally have the opportunity to see light at the end of the tunnel. And Panther is the conduit for bringing that light.
When you think of some of the specific strategies that you've used to really develop employees, can you walk us through some of the things that you've done that you feel like have moved the needle for the company?
Yeah, part of it is recognizing 2 things. One, make sure you put your company in a place where you can recruit employees that match the business. And we've located in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is an incredible place for 2 things. One is education, and 2 is healthcare. And that's really what Panther is all about. So we're able to recruit. And there are other specialty pharmacies and healthcare providers in Pittsburgh. The second thing is, the strategy is, when we look at our employees, one is we've got to make sure that we select the appropriate employees. And 2, recognize the uniqueness of that employee base. That employee base, we have a lot of millennials and some Gen Zs. So managing that unique group of people takes its own strategies. But to start off, we have to do an assessment of kind of what is the culture we're dealing with, and what improvements can we make. So we go through painstaking efforts to actually keep our finger on the pulse of what is the culture of Panther all about.
I want to get specific into some of the types of training you're doing, because I would imagine you've got very technical skills coming in, doing pharmaceutical questions and customer service. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very correct.
And you've also got just basic customer service skills, and you've got logistics people, and you've got all this stuff that may not be as high level of knowledge of the drugs, but still they need levels of training. So do you have like a core foundation training that you offer to employees to get them up to speed?
We do. We have a process when all employees come on board. They're put through an introduction to Panther. However, it doesn't end there. Some of our professional associates, and they're all professional, but I'm talking about pharmacists, nurses, and doctors. Honestly, they're the easiest group of people to recruit from, since there's so many schools that are located nearby. It's when we get to the mid and lower levels that we've got to train our own. So some of the strategies that we've adopted are, one, we've developed something called Panther University, which beyond the initial introduction to the company and discussion on culture and policies, procedures, we actually train people and give them career paths to actually stay with the company and grow with the company. So we call it Panther University. The second thing is, we've started the process of working with local community colleges in offering training courses in specific job functions that it doesn't take us internally to develop them, but they need certain skill sets, let's say certain financial skill sets, certain customer service skill sets, things that community colleges can help us do. And plus it provides us a pool of people at the end of that. So that's the second thing we've done. The third thing we've done is actually worked with specific career tracks for these individuals. It's so difficult to not only recruit in this environment, in this great economy that we have, to get the right people, but it's so important to retain those people because turnover causes turmoil in all organizations. So we've got to keep people not only happy in what they're doing, but once they have that aspiration to move up in the organization, you have to give them tracks, and that's what we've developed. Now, talking about the higher end of professionals, we've created fellowships that actually allow individuals to devote an entire year of their life to rotate throughout the organization and develop a very broad skill set. So the fellowships are something new and very unique to Panther and specialty pharmacy. The second and final component of that, we've created a master's program in conjunction with the University of Pittsburgh called a Master in Pharmacy Business Administration, where we help the university, I'm also on faculty there, to actually create a program that develops our future leaders. And we have been part of that program. Actually, I've been part of the inception of that program, but we supply individuals from our staff to be students in that program every year since the beginning.
You just rattled off a whole plethora of ways in which you're investing into your employees. And I bet there's some leaders out there listening in right now going, wow, that's a huge investment. Was this intentional, or is this just necessary in the technical nature of your field? Or is it just something you believe that will create the long-term ROI that you know works for your business?
I think it's both. Actually, when I got into Panther, I came out of retirement to work with 3 former students. And the reason why I came out of retirement is, I saw this business opportunity, but I saw 3 young professionals that I could see grow and develop. And that's what Panther's all about. And that's why I got back into the business. Was now we have over 200 people that not only we put food on their table, and I look out, the window and see, all of the cars, our parking lot's burgeoning, but now I see the opportunity to really give people opportunities that they never had. And that's so self-satisfying and rewarding. But also from a business perspective, it's one where it keeps happy employees. And if you've got happy employees that spend a lot of their life at work, they're going to deliver care to those patients like no one else. And that's why we're rated #1 in patient satisfaction among specialty pharmacies.
I'm smiling because I do a lot of work with companies and fast growth companies on the Inc. list. There's a number that I've shared many times before. I don't know if I've shared this with you, Gordon, but when I talk to these Inc. leaders, I ask the leaders like yourself, what's more important, your employees or your customers? Now, I know you're in a life or death situation. What would you say to the answer to that?
Me, as kind of responsible for the organization, my role is to support my employees who then can deliver for my patients. I don't have a direct feed to those patients. Those employees do. So if you think not taking care and developing and nurturing those employees, if you think that is something you can forego, you never get the results you're looking for. So yes, our employees are #1, but they're #1 to serve our primary objective, which is our patients.
Let's pause for a second. Gordon just talked about employee first. And now I know I created this big question behind this, but let me give you the context for that big question. After hundreds and hundreds of interviews with fast growth leaders from the Inc. 5000, these leaders are growing at astronomical pace compared to their peers. I wanted to ask one question to each one of them. It took me a while to figure out what that one question was, but here it is. As a leader, what's more important, your employees or your customers? I smile when I say that too, because it really is a huge question and it really does tell you a lot about the kind of company. I'm not saying for you to answer this question based on what you think it is. I want you to answer the question honestly and truly on how you invest. If you manage the company based on the customer service and the sales of everything, then you probably are more customer-centric. I get it. Marketing and sales and customer service, very important to serve the customer. But most fast-growing leaders, in fact, 94.1% of the hundreds that I've interviewed have said that it's employee first. And even in a business like Panther Specialty Pharmacy, where it's life and death, it's still employee first. So I want you to think about that. This is one of the key areas I work with teams and leaders on. How do you create that real employee first mentality, but also how do you extend it? How do you get people to take real ownership of their work? If you have any questions about that, make sure you reach out to me. Now back to the interview. I love this because so many people, I think, get that a little bit twisted because it does take both to run a successful business. A group of employees that are engaged in their work, and we have, happy customers. But you've got to really, as a leader, because that's the trick of this, is the leader's responsibility is to pour into the people, develop the people, so that the people want to take care of the customers. And that's what you've seen. And even in your business, which is life or death, and other businesses, it's the same way. When you think about investing into people, and have you learned anything like mistakes in this journey of like maybe over-investing or over-caring into people?
Yeah, we've had we call them growth challenges. When you grow so fast, you're going to make mistakes, and mistakes are okay as long as you can learn from them, right? So, some of the things we've learned is, one, as you grow, you want to know what you don't know, okay? And to do that, you hire experienced people. But the one thing we've learned is it's not just about experience. You want to hire experienced people that fit. And finding that fit is as important, if not more important, than the experience you're hiring. So to preserve culture in the organization, we've got two dimensions we're dealing with, and that's both, the skill set that the person brings, but also, if that person's been in a job for 10 or 20 years elsewhere, and they bring that culture with them, it really could be toxic to what we've developed, this young, disruptive, innovative culture. So number one we found is don't just hire experience that fits or is adaptive. And two, we want to hire people. We thought hiring from the top, was a critical part of the organization. But as we grew, we realized that some of the most important hires are the first level of management. And at first you start overlooking that. And, this first level of management is the managers of the people who deliver the care. It's not a top-down approach that's most effective. You've got to look layers in your organization and make sure that, management isn't, from your office. Management occurs, at the level of the patient.
Gordon just talked about finding fit. Really what he's talking about there is the culture, finding people who are not necessarily just has the experience or the skills to do the job, but they're a fit for what you're trying to build. That's much more important than the skills. So everything that's listed on the resume is only this much importance, whereas everything that's not in the resume about how they see the world, about the values that they hold as individuals is much more important. Why do I say that? Because so many leaders, just like you listening in here, see the value of the values of the company. And they want to have people that are aligned with those values because that will allow them to align together and not create the kind of silos that happen when you have individual teams that just aren't working well together. Now, this isn't about diversity per se, but there is a necessary need for diversity in gender and ethnicity and the political views and in many other aspects. But values reach into the core of who you are. You want to make sure you're aligned together. And if you have that, you have a really good chance to have an employee-first organization. Remember that 94.1% number really is important to fast-growing companies to be employee-first. Now back to the interview. Yeah, that's really a wise thing to focus on there for just a moment. Like that first level managers that are managing the customer service and sales, anyone in sales is such a critical function, because if you get that wrong, you're going to lose that retention number. So you got to get that right, because the old adage is people don't leave companies, they leave managers.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And it's fascinating. We're at a real advantage because, with the millennials and the Gen Zs, they're looking for a company with a purpose. It has a real social, that can contribute to society. And we're fortunate that we directly touch these patients in a manner where a lot of the decisions we make, a lot of the care we provide have a direct impact on their lives or their families. So we have this lofty social responsibility. We're lucky in that. And we're able to attract people. But if you still don't train people or provide management tools or training tools, it's lost. So we've realized that. And yeah, we made mistakes along the way, but that's the beauty of working in a privately held company. We can constantly do gut checks, change on the fly, modify. We're not constrained by our structure.
When you think about your journey as a leader, how do you keep pace with the level of growth that your company has so that you are able to create the next level of emerging leaders inside the company?
We've created a few things. It's interesting. One, as you grow, you realize that silos develop. And so we've tried to recongeal that in a concept we call One Panther. And it's a concept that we use throughout our organization about that if people work effectively together or within their groups, we can get synergies, and that one person's efforts can be magnified by the work of the team. And so my work is to continually make Panther feel like a family, a home. And as we add people on, it's not growth or adding another division or adding another facility. It's about just extending our family. So One Panther is really important. The other thing, interestingly, from a marketing side to the external environment that actually translated to the internal environment, is we went through a rebranding exercise to bring into clear focus exactly what Panther is, which is a focus on rare and devastating diseases and providing them. But it's also about our employees understanding that and making the link to what they do. So that's an important thing for us. So yeah, we've come up with some of those items, but as a leader, my goal and strategies to deal with that is to try to, try to look at what our objective is and create an environment that people are happy to come to work and are happy and fulfilled when they walk out the door. It's a really great place to be.
Well, beautiful. And it's a great place to end this, because when our employees are happy, they come in creative and engaged, and they really are able to be resilient no matter what. And they're connected to the mission. I really appreciate you sharing your journey here with us on Growth Think Tank. So Gordon, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Gene. Keep up the great work.
Well, I just love talking to him about all the different ways that they're investing in their employees. Really is a complex kind of view, but it really is important to know that you have to invest in your employees, because otherwise they will stay and their skills won't develop, or they will leave and their retention numbers will really take a huge hit. So investing the right way and figuring out what the right mix is for your employees will really create the kind of long-term company that you know is necessary to compete at the next level of your business, whatever that may be. Gordon talked about reaching $1 billion It really is impressive to know that that's where they are, but it really is a great way to think about this business and about who you are as a leader. We talk about a lot of different things inside there, so make sure you are making some action steps about how you're investing in your employees and really look at the importance of doing that, and then make sure you create the plan that works for everybody in the organization. As always, lead with courage, and I'll see you next time.